King Mandume, the persecutor of false Christians. Mandume Ya-en Demufeo (1894–6 February 1917) was the last king of the Kwanyama, a subset of the Ovambo people of southern Angola and northern Namibia. Demufeo took over the Kwanyama kingdom in 1911 and his reign lasted until 1917 when he died of either suicide or machine gun fire while the Kwanyama kingdom was under attack from Portuguese. Demufeo is honored as a national hero in both Angola and Namibia. Background: the Kwanyama kingdom was split by the 1884 Berlin Conference into the areas of Portuguese West Africa and German Southwest Africa. 1911 to 1915. Demufeo took the throne peacefully by Kwanyama standards and immediately moved the royal residence to Anjiva, now in Angola. Demufeo expelled Portuguese traders from Kwanyama territory to denounce price inflation. Internally, he issued decrees prohibiting the picking of unripened fruit to protect against droughts and the unneeded use of firearms, an important commodity obtained from European traders. Significantly, he also issued harsh penalties for the crime of rape and allowed women to own cattle, which was previously illegal. Overall, King Demufeo sought to restore previous Kwanyama wealth and prosperity against a decaying system of local leadership. Relationship with Christianity. Demufeo had a reputation as a persecutor of Christians within the Kwanyama kingdom. Numerous Christian families fled to the Ondonga kingdom of the Ovambos to flee his persecution. Demufeo also had problems with Portuguese Roman Catholic missionaries as well as German Rhenish Missionary Society Protestants. Battle and death. No European colonizer challenged the well-organized and well-armed Ovambo kingdoms until 1915 and the beginning of World War I, which coincided with a massive local drought. During the Battle of Omangwa, Demufeo and the Kwanyama resisted a Portuguese attack for 3 days. Simultaneously, the South African forces peacefully conquered the portion of the Kwanyama kingdom formerly located in German Southwest Africa. Due to heavy losses, Demufeo was forced to relocate the Kwanyama capital to the area of Southwest Africa. In February 1917, after Demufeo refused to submit to South African control, he died in battle against the South Africans. The cause of his death is disputed. South African records show his death from machine gun fire, while oral and popular history described his death as a suicide. The Kwanyama kingship was abolished following his death in 1917 until February 1998 when Cornelius M. Wedupunga Shelungu was named chief. Recognition. Mandume Ya-en Demufeo is one of 9 national heroes of Namibia that were identified at the inauguration of the country's Heroes Acre near Windhoek. Founding President Sam Nujoma remarked in his inauguration speech on the 26th of August 2002 that, "It is better to die fighting than to become a slave of the colonial forces." These were the defiant words of one of Namibia's foremost anti-colonialist fighters. British and Portuguese colonial forces insisted he should surrender. To his revolutionary spirit and his visionary memory, we humbly offer our honor and respect. Ya-en Demufeo is honored in the form of a granite tombstone with his name engraved and his portrait plastered onto the slab. How did Yesaya, Jesus, and the Hebrews become white? How did the Hebrews turn white? Of course they didn't really, just in the imaginations, and then the histories of white people, who for probably practical reasons, decided that Hebrews, and also the blacks who originally lived in the countries that they took over, should all become white for posterity's sake. Seeing as how it only takes 3 generations to turn a black person into a white person and vice versa. No doubt there came a time when, as Europe's formerly biracial populations became more homogeneously white, white people decided that they could no longer acknowledge that all that they knew and had was derived from the minds and labors of black people, even down to their religious beliefs. The logic no doubt being that whites could not progress to their full potential if they were always looking up to blacks as the personification of knowledge and wisdom. So a change had to be made, and at some point, by somebody, that change began. Of course, we have no way of knowing when this process of whitenizing blacks began, or who did it, or where it was first done. but we do have some materials by which we can track the process somewhat. But first, let us go back to see what Hebrews really looked like. The earliest authentic pictures of real Hebrews that we have date back to before Christ. They are Assyrian reliefs showing Hebrews, and others that they conquered, in pictorial scenes detailing the battles fought, with associated text. These reliefs decorated Assyrian palaces, and were no doubt used to gloat over their conquest of the Hebrews and others. Here we are using pictures of Assyrian King Shalmaneser III's Black Obelisk 858 BC. Assyrian King Tiglath-Pileser III's reliefs of his conquest of a city near the Sea of Galilee 730 BC. Assyrian King Sennacherib's reliefs of the conquest of the Judean city of Lachish 701 BC. The four pictures below are from those Assyrian reliefs. These reliefs are stored in the British Museum, London, England. It is worth mentioning that the Hebrews were just as literate and just as artistic as the other black civilizations around them. The reason that we have to depend on outside sources for pictures of them is because whites destroyed all that the Hebrews ever created, even down to the very religious writings that they claim to worship by. That fact is that all Hebrew writings, even the Septuagint, the original Bible, which was only roughly Hebrew, it was made for the Greek king of Egypt, Ptolemy II, Philadelphus, in 282 to 246 BC, has been destroyed. Everything except for the Dead Sea Scrolls, which were found in 1947, in Qumran, a village situated about 20 miles east of Jerusalem. The scrolls are under the joint custody of the Catholic Church and the Israelis. The translated contents of those scrolls has never been made public, and probably never will be. No doubt the differences in teachings and facts would be irreconcilable. A few inconsequential snippets have been made public. The entire scrolls is a huge work, which contains the entire Old Testament plus many other works. Why wasn't the material in these pages destroyed? Because after its fall, Assyria came under the control of the Persian Empire, which was itself a black empire. It then came under the control of Greeks, who were at that time seeking to merge with the Black Persians, not in denying that they were black people. Then Assyria again came under Persian control, and then finally under the control of the original black Arabs. So at the time when whites were destroying vestiges of black history, they had no access to the Assyrian artifacts. But at those times when whites did have control of an area, they seem to have been very thorough in destroying all vestiges of the former black inhabitants. There is nothing left to suggest that Carthage was a black city. Mesopotamia and the Indus Valley civilizations are some of the oldest known, yet very little is left, next to nothing in the Indus Valley. Ancient Anatolia, Turkey, was home to many great and famous civilizations, but very little has been found there. The Egyptian artifacts, of which there are many, were mostly recovered in modern times, when whites rather than simply destroy, instead modify artifacts, sometimes just by breaking the noses off, in order to make them look like white people, and then proudly display them as proof of the white man's greatness. The Khazars, a Turkish tribe who had established a kingdom in the Caucasus region, and converted to Judaism in the 8th century AD, must have seen the doings of the Romans and Greeks, and seen it as an opportunity for them to take over the Hebrew identity, and thus control of the Orthodox branch of the Hebrew religion, which indeed they did. They logically thinking that if Jesus can be white, why not then the entire Hebrew nation, which was by then a diaspora anyway. The Islamist side stepped the entire issue by forbidding imagery of any kind. Who are the true children of Zion, the tribe of Judah? 2 Samuel chapter 5 verse 7, known as Sion, in Congo Lari's language, is Tsi Yani, translated as his land, because when David took it, he called it the city of David, David, hence the name Tsi Yani, his land. And that word made Zion in his Bible, translated into modern Hebrew Tsi, Yon, Sion, with high place SGF. Bakongo are the only people in the world to have kept the good translation Si, Yani, which SGF Terra his. Be careful, here is wisdom. Who are the sons of Tsi, Yani? Answer Psalm chapter 78 verse 68. In rather, he chose the tribe of Judah, Yandis, Bakongo Yonde, Mount Zion, Tsi Yani, that he loved. So we have the answer in TSI. Yani is identified to the tribe of Judah. Sion equals Judah. Now look at how Jeremiah is going to give us the description of the sons of Zion, Judah tribes that YISSA, Yah Hebrews chapter 7 verse 14, Jesus in their Bibles, discover its color. Bantu languages of notes are 100%, all Semitic languages of Bana Betu or Bantu, like all Semitic languages there have no verb to be or to have, and the name always precedes adjective. Bantu Ancestras in the kingdom of Persia. So, who are these black people that the Mundel white seem desperate to hide by calling them Cushites? They were discovered, in the first place, in the fact that they are black-skinned and because they have wool hair, curly hair, but that certainly amounts to little, but since several other peoples are like that too. Whoever these people are, they lived long times with the Persians, and were important to them. Since they are always described as defenders of the Persian throne. The figure shows black-skinned people dressed in kanga cloth, some from waist to knee, and from waist to feet, and cloth cloaks similar to the Bantus, who also dress in the same way. Not to other peoples of black skin naked in the world who dress in such a way, the Egyptians and Ethiopians in Africa do not dress like that. Completion. These men are the ancestors of the Bantu people, the true Hebrew Israelites, and were important in the Persian kingdom. Because Hadassah queen of Persia, today Iran, wife of Ahasuerus king of Persia, was Yissa Elah Israelite and inhabited in Susan, one of the provinces of the ancient Persian kingdom. The Book of Esther chapter 2 verses 6-7, 2. Before the Persian king had freed the Israelites, today Bantu people, from the captive of Babylon, today Iraq, allowing the Hebrews Bantu to live in peace in their kingdom and to return to Salama, Jerusalem, and to glean the distressed capital city from Yaoundé, Judea. This is why the importance of the Hebrews to the Jews and the importance of the Jews to the Hebrews at that time. Vitiligo equals the leprosy mentioned in the Bible. Leviticus 13:2. It is an established fact that the Bible always mentions lepra in the context of the skin becoming white because of a disease or in relation to some specific wrong attitudes. Leviticus chapter 13 verse 2. The man who has in his swelling, or pustulus, or glossy stain, and this becomes liquid plague, shall be taken to Aharon, the priest, or to one of his children, Kohanim, priests. For if the glossy stain on the skin is white and does not see deeper than the skin, and the hair has not become white, then the priest will end for 7 days what has been placed. 6. Cohen, on the 7th day, shall examine it again. If the leprosy has darked and in the skin it has not extended, then Cohen will declare it clean. It is pustule. Man will wash their dresses and be clean. In verses 2 and 4, a glossy or white stain is mentioned on the skin. A glossy stain means a stain that is larger than regular dark brown, black skin. Moshe, Moses, said, in the 6th verse, and the priest, on the 7th day, shall examine it again. If the leprosy has darked and in skin it has not extended, then the priest will declare it clean. Quote, this is why the skin is getting darker like your original skin tone. A black-skinned person with these spots covering a part of his body is a partial leprosy. However, when the plague of white covered his body, from head to feet, the leprosy is clean. He completely changed his color, like albino. People who have this type of leprosy in scriptures can be classified as albines, and these albines are the only white-skinned Hebrews that existed in old times. They were the minority.